Hi, Odyssey fans. I'm Bob, producer of the Adventures in Odyssey Club. You'll see Jesse in just a minute, but I wanted to welcome you to the official Adventures in Odyssey podcast. We're doing things a little bit differently today. As you've probably noticed, I'm at home, and later on in the podcast, we'll be hearing from Jared Depasquale about composing the music for one of our latest club adventures. But first, here's the latest news. Over to you, Jesse.
Thanks, Bob. I'm coming to you from the clubhouse cubicles that focus on the family. Today, I had to come into the office to get some magazine deadlines done. Here at Clubhouse, we're feverishly working on the August issue, one that's entirely written and illustrated by our readers, which of course includes the Adventures in Odyssey Club members. But recently, I've been spending a lot of time at home, probably like you have too. So I have 3 special announcements. First, Focus at Home, a free streaming platform, is available for a limited time. It features some of Focus's most popular content, including the Adventures in Odyssey animated videos, McGee and Me shows, and Last Chance Detectives. And a special bonus for Odyssey fans, you can see some of your favorite actors doing book readings from their homes. Check it out at focusonthefamily.com/streaming to access all the free content. And speaking of free, here's announcement number 2. You can sign up for a 4-week free trial to the Adventures in Odyssey Club right now. No credit card required. Experience nearly 900 audio episodes, exclusive adventures, monthly web quests, daily devotions, and more. It's all at aioclub.org. And finally, announcement number 3. Adventures in Odyssey Family Time continues its series of special Odyssey events during the month of April. You may have seen the first ones on our website, including listening parties of some beloved episodes with your closest online friends, behind the scenes with our cast and crew, and the Q&A with some of our team members. Well, if you haven't checked out Family Time, we'll give you a chance right now because we're going to hear from one of our composers. You can find out more every week at witsend.org/familytime. And now, roll the video.
Hey everyone, my name's Jared Depasquale, and I'm one of the composers on Adventures in Odyssey. I was about 7 years old when I started to listen to music. But I didn't just listen to music. When I heard music, I saw stories in my head. When I rode my bike, I heard music. When I ran through the forest, I heard music in my head. When I'd wake up in the morning and I'd see a rainy day or a sunrise, I would just hear music. For me, music was always telling a story. And so it's no great surprise that I would go on to study music and eventually become part of teams like Adventures in Odyssey, where we get to tell stories together. I thought you all might enjoy a short video where I talk about what it's like to be me, what it's like to write music for Adventures in Odyssey. And today we'll talk about a 2-part Odyssey show called Unsinkable. Unsinkable is the story of the Titanic, and it's a beautifully written story by Kathy Buchanan, and one that I scored a few months ago. People will often ask me what comes first, the music or the actors, and as you might have guessed, the actors are recorded first, and then they're edited. And eventually, a producer like Nate or Chris will contact me, and they will talk to me about the story they'd like me to be a part of. They'll send me a script, and they will send me the audio files of all of the actors in the timings that they need to be. And then we start to talk about what the music might be like. But I always like to just read the script a few times by myself. I like to listen to the actors' versions. Many times the actors' voices will dictate kind of the musical decisions that I make. And then we begin the process of what we would call writing the main theme. And this is the big job of the composer. And the main theme is, it's kind of the musical identifier of the show. And now Adventures in Odyssey has had a long-running theme, wonderfully composed by John Campbell. And the moment you hear it, you know, this is a show, this is Adventures in Odyssey, I know where I am. But many times Odyssey, they call me for stories that are just outside of the story arc of Adventures in Odyssey. They're sort of like singular episodes, and they require me to write new musical themes. And for something like Unsinkable, that was a big order, right? It's the story of the Titanic. When I thought about what that theme needed to accomplish, certainly a sense of tragedy, right? I mean, the Titanic is a tragic story. Many lives were lost. And it's also a tragic story of Nina and her father. As we know, the story won't have a completely happy ending. But it just didn't need to be a tragic theme. It needs to be some tenderness, right? Because those actors, they just played those parts wonderfully. And there needed to be a tenderness between a father and her daughter. And so that would be the first theme that I would set off to write. But then, of course, every story has secondary themes. And these are themes that support the story in different ways. And so a good example of a secondary theme would be the music that I came up with just for the Titanic in its majesty. That's sort of the first time you see that ship and the grandeur of what it was. And then we will have a musical identifier for what I'll call the doom theme, when the ship is hit by the iceberg, and we all know what's going to happen. It's not going to be good. And so these are themes that I would write and then start working into the show. So I thought we could start by taking a look at the main theme. And let me cue us up to it. Okay, here we go. So this is the beginning of episode 2, where the elderly Nina is sort of setting up the second part of the show, and she's reflecting on her past. And her voice is very melancholy, and I thought that this would be a great time for us to play the Unsinkable theme in its entirety, sort of simply stated. And so my wife, who's a professional oboe player, she played the oboe on it, and then I accompanied her with strings. And this gives us a chance to listen to what that's like. Let's take a listen. There's a theme. That's my moment of tenderness. Tragedy, right? So hopefully that makes you feel something, right? Hopefully that makes you feel some sense of longing, some sense of loss. And that's the power of the main theme, right? It's also the power of having a wonderful oboe player play your theme. Let's talk about what I would call the Grandeur theme. Give me a moment to kind of cue up to that. You know, a lot of times people ask me, kind of like, how do you start writing? Do you write on the piano? And you know, not many composers really write on a piano anymore. They write on their keyboard, and their keyboard is talking to their computer, and their computer is generating all these sounds, hundreds of sounds. And mine's no different. That I am, I've got different woodwinds and flutes and oboes and trumpets and French horns and trombones. I've got the whole orchestra here at my fingertips. But for something like this Grandeur of the Titanic thing, I started on woodwinds, and it was something like this. Just that, simple. But these two chords, they just sounded so light and airy and whimsical, and I could hear sort of like a soaring French horn or a string line, and I knew that that would accomplish what I was hoping. And so here's it with all the parts. So isn't that cool? Out of just this, out of that came that. And that's just kind of what we do. We start with something and we play it in, and then we add something else to it, and we add something else to it, and eventually it just becomes this grand musical statement. So let's check out the Doom theme, and I'll play it for you here. This is the Doom theme in its most kind of dirge way. Very low, very dirgy, bum, 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 right? Low strings and all. And but you know, the power of a good theme is that you can do something more with it than just that. And a good example of it will be in a couple of music scenes down the road where Nina and her father are running through the ship trying to find each other as water is coming into the ship. And the theme takes on a whole new feel as it's action. So they're running through the ship. So get ready, here it is. This is that Doom theme. More action. Now again. So isn't that cool, the way that theme takes on a whole new life of its own? Now you might be wondering too, cue up to it again, is where do the actors play a role in this? And so besides having all of these instruments in here, I also have the actors, so take a look. I can take them out.
Ready? I have to check.
So I am always working alongside the actors. There's never a moment that I am deviating from those actors. They're informing everything that I do. And that's what I like. I love being a part of that story. I love trying to figure out how to pivot and take those musical turns that make you, the listener, feel something. There's one more theme I think is worth mentioning, and it's what I call the charming town theme. And it's a theme that comes into play later in the show when Nina is a little older and she's maybe in her 20s and she's just lost and aimless, and she takes a train out west to just kind of run away, get away from everything. And the train stops for the night at a town called Odyssey. And the mayor of the town is there with his wife, and it just becomes this beautiful place where Nina's spirit is rebuilt, and she kind of finds herself again, and she kind of comes to some basic peace about what's happened. And I felt like the town really needed its own theme. And now I had thought about, do I use the Adventures in Odyssey theme? But I really felt like that would be, that actually might be maybe not the right call. But I did, if you ever could find it, I did hint at the Odyssey theme at one point, and it would be so funny if you could figure out where it is. But here is an example. Here's the charming town theme. And again, my wife plays the melody. It's so beautiful on the oboe. You can check it out.
Oh, goodness.
Here we go. Isn't that nice? Now listen to it. Here it is with the actors.
Oh, goodness, you must be cold. Here, take my coat.
Mayor and Mrs. Fillmore were such warm people. That one night of hospitality became 2, and then 3. I told the Fillmores I didn't know where I was heading, and they suggested
Isn't that nice? Boy, I mean, but the actress, she makes it. Without her, we got nothing. And I always feel like whenever the actors are so good, it's easy to write music. But hopefully that music makes you feel like sitting by a warm fire, like there's some sort of comfort there. So anyway, that's kind of a snapshot into my life about what I do, and I love doing it. It's hard work. It's taken a lot of study. I practice hard. I continue to practice. I continue to study. It never ends. But it's fun. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. So be safe during this very strange time in our country. But I hope you're all well, and hope you're all safe, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.
It's Bob here again. You can find the links to everything we announced today, Focus at Home, the Club Free Trial, and Family Time on our website at witsend.org. I hope you and your family are safe and sound, and if there's anything at all that we can do to help, please give us a call at 1-800-A-FAMILY. I'm Bob, reminding you that with God in your life, every day's an adventure.